Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's October 30th, 2020, and today I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about the American persimmons fruit. This is a picture of the, or is actually real-time video of the persimmons. This is the American persimmons fruit from the fruit tree. The fruit is about 1.5 inches tall and about 1.5 inches wide. It has a very distinct calyx or tip to the end of it. That's actually the calyx, or are the outer parts of a bud before they open up. So that outer part of the bud of the flower that's going to produce the fruit initially, ultimately, the outer part of that is the calyx, and the sepals are the components that are left on the fruit at the end of the season. Recently I posted a video about the pawpaw trees, and the persimmons both have these really long tap roots. And it's just before Halloween, so 2 days ago I went ahead and harvested the fruit from our persimmons tree. So here's our American persimmons tree right here. Tonight or tomorrow night we're going to have some heavy frosts. So what I've done is I've decided to come out here. You can see that orange sort of color that they are. A lot of them, they start off very green and then they gradually turn yellow, and then when they get fully orange is when they're to the point where to pick them. But since we're going to have a heavy frost, so these are really astringent, you wouldn't want to bite into these. And even these orange ones are real close to getting ripe, but oh, this one actually is ripe. It's a little soft right now, so that'll pop right off easily. So if we get a really hard freeze, and you can see how this dents in some, well, maybe. But what I plan on doing is harvesting these now, and then what we can do is put them on the counter and let them gradually fully ripen, and we just go through them each day and we get the real ripe ones. We got some nice breads. They're like pudding, a really delicious flavor. The deer came through this week and ate all the lower ones off, so all the lower ones are gone. They stand right up on their hind feet up there and reach up as much as they can. So just as you see these clusters here, some have fallen that are ripe, but mostly that's about the density up there at the top that they are. But the deer come through here every night, probably over a dozen deer that will visit this tree and get as many as they can get. And you need a couple of light frosts, but not a heavy frost. So tonight we're going to have another heavy frost. But I got these off before the heavy frost came, and these fruit are absolutely delicious. The reason that we don't see them very commonly in the grocery stores is because they're very perishable item. They have a very short shelf life, so you need to do something with them as soon as you harvest them. For example, one of the things, I love eating them fresh, but the other things we can do with them is we can harvest them and freeze the material. We can make persimmons bread, make persimmons muffins. They taste like a pudding when they're sweet. Now, the American persimmons, unlike some of the Asian persimmons, the Asian persimmons you can bite right into. They taste delicious right off the bat. You have to wait for the American persimmons to get to this almost orange color, and where the calyx starts to peel off easily from the top of the fruit. And your fingers really depress into them quite easily. They're quite soft. So this one is ready to consume. Probably tomorrow it'll be optimal ripeness. So you can harvest them before they're fully ripe. They start off as being green, hidden amongst the very dark, deep green oval leaves. The persimmon's trunk and branches, it's a very bushy type of a tree. And the bark has almost like a cork appearance to it as well. The fruit are hidden by those dark, beautiful green ovoid leaves. And sometimes you'll think, geez, there's no fruit on that tree. But as soon as the leaves start turning yellow in the fall, this time of year, that's when you see it. You've got to get them off the tree before a hard frost, because these will just freeze solid and turn to mush, and you won't be able to harvest them. The attachment onto the limbs can be quite difficult to get off. You've got to do a rotate. You have to rotate the fruit in your hands and then pop it off, basically either axial wise towards the long axis of the branch itself. They're really a delicious fruit. When you eat these, you can eat the skin. The skin tastes just as delicious as the fruit. The seeds are quite flat, so they're not a problem for consuming like you would with a pear or an apple. So you can consume the whole fruit once the calyx has been removed. The trees, they're dioecious, meaning that there's trees that are either male flowers or trees that are female flowers. And they can be reproduced by seed, or you can, in order to make sure that you're getting the females, you can do it by hardwood cuttings as well. So I'm going to try and make some time to do some hardwood cuttings from this tree, because I had to take off 2 branches. Now I use 2 tripod ladders to get at the fruit here. When the persimmons are getting ripe, the deer will gobble up everything within their reach, and they'll stand right up in their hind hooves to get as much of the fruit as possible. So once the deer starts eating, you see the lower fruit disappearing. You've had a couple light frosts. You got to get to the tree before the heavy frosts. I use a Forester's double pouch harvesting bags to help me get the fruit easily, so I can get up on a tripod ladder. We have an 8-footer and a 12-footer to get up into the tree. Unfortunately, because these get about 30 feet in height, I can't get to the very top of the tree, and the limbs aren't strong enough to support me. The fruit takes about 6 to 7 years before they start producing the fruit. I can't think it was Captain John Smith was the first one to describe it in the Americas when he first came to America, to the North American continent, and the trees are distributed along the eastern coast of the United States and into the lower central eastern part of the country as well. They do grow all the way up here in New York State. We're located near Lake Ontario, north of Syracuse. But it is a challenge to get the fruit, because you've got to get it before that first hard frost. And again, the fruit doesn't last that long as well. So there will be some GoPro footage of me using. One thing that I do use when the calyx is still attached to the limbs, sometimes I'll use my bypass pruning shears to cut that small little stem-like structure if it's really hard and they're really bunched together, and the fruit actually there can be clusters of fruit as well. On hot days, and when the fruit is really sugary sweet and very ripe, then you'll see the wasps on the fruit as well. So they'll be going for it. So you have to be a little bit careful so you don't just grab a handful of fruit at one time. So right here are the persimmons, the number of persimmons that we got off the tree that we're just harvesting from. I wasn't able to get all of the persimmons because it would have been dangerous for me to get to the very top of the, you'd see those ladders there, the 3-legged ladders that we've got. I've got a 6-foot, 8-foot, and 12-foot. But with the slope of the swale mound that I have the trees on, it's not safe to I can't get into the areas, especially with the branching and all. So I'm pretty happy with what we got out of the tree. Here's one that's really nice and ripe at this point, very, very pliable. This is ready for eating. You can see the top pulled right off, and they're absolutely delicious. They don't have a shelf life at all, so this has got to be consumed or processed within the next couple of days. These ones here, although they're looking more ripe, they're not easily compressible. The top doesn't pop off easily. And there might be some sweet flavor to it, but it's really astringent, and it'll really, well, it'll make you pucker right up, I'll tell you. But the ones that were close to the top did pretty well. So this is a pretty good bounty for the one tree, considering I can't get all of the tree. I've planted a whole bunch more of these persimmons. You know, most people, you don't find them often in store shelves, and these are the American persimmons. These you typically let them ripen right on the tree, but here in our zone, zone 5A, well, it behooves us, because our early frosts, to get these off the tree, because once they freeze solid, then they're just mush after that point, and there's no sense working with them. So I've got to go through these, separate out the ones that are very ripe, and get those ready for processing right away. They make good pudding, good breads, really good. We freeze this flesh and all, and then we can make it in different, breads and various dishes later on. Really delicious. I probably ate about 20 of them, since I squished them when I was pulling them off the tree. So I guess it's time for lunch. So that's the American persimmons. I love it here. It's an absolutely delicious fruit that many people, I didn't taste this fruit until we grew our own first tree. And it's because they just don't last that long to ship from the farm to the grocery store, so that people can get to taste them regularly. Some of the Asian fruit have a longer shelf life, and they're showing up in the markets now, but I haven't seen any American persimmons fruit on the trees. These are absolutely delicious. I think they're fantastic, and if you live in the part of the country where these fruit survive and do well, I think it's great fruit to have. This year we had the worst severe drought that we've ever had, and I'll tell you, these fruit actually did extremely well. I think that they're usually about 2 inches, so we've lost a small percentage of their volume, but they taste absolutely scrumptious. If you're in a drought-prone area, I think heavily mulching the soil is really beneficial. We do have to protect the trees with some cages around them when they're very young, because the deer love them. They strip all the leaves right off. And again, this is a wildlife sanctuary, so the wildlife are all over our food forest all the time. So I'm growing several more of these American persimmons here on site, and I'm really excited about it as well. So if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And by all means, folks, stay safe, take good care of yourselves, and think about the types of fruit and vegetables that you'd like to grow, and get started on the projects. Take care now. Bye-bye.